So let's talk about how that I start this out processing with people. I don't pick up my sheet and say, I'm going to do the drop it model with you, D, right? Sometimes it feels like that. So it should be really informal, be really casual. So a lot of times I'll just pick up the phone and say, hey, I just heard you had a bad one. Somebody told me you just had to respond to this tough suicide this past week. Let's get together and talk about it, or to have a cup of coffee, or hey, can we do a Zoom call, or can we pick up the phone, and talk. And so then I'll just start kind of walking through that with them. You could do a modified version of this even on a daily basis. If you were deployed on a hurricane or something and you've had people out for the whole day, you don't go through the whole thing. But there's a couple pieces of these that I'll talk about that you can do. Hey, you got people in the car. Hey, how'd it go today? What's the most positive thing that you experienced today? What's the most negative things you experienced? Some of those things that we'll talk about. And what are you going to do tonight to kind of process and to regroup and to refuel and be ready to go back out on the scene tomorrow? So again, like I said before, we are people of story, and we are wired for story. It's kind of, if you think about in terms of like you get a new car, or you get a new, I don't know, get a new outfit or something if you're a woman or whatever. A lot of times you want to share that with somebody. You want them to celebrate with you when you have something that you've acquired or you've gotten. But also when something bad has happened, we like to share that with somebody as well. And we need people to hear our story. When somebody else hears our story, it makes it real, okay? So it's a very important part to think about that in terms of allowing people to process that and to put it in their mind and to think about it, and to think about not only the head, but the heart, and then also the gut. How has this story impacted me, as a fellow human being? I've sat with this person, I've heard their stories, and I've experienced that deep levels of pain. Now, what do I do with it? And what is a very common occurrence is we go and we just kind of throw this in our emotional backpack, and we go on and we do something else and do something else, and that continuous pile up, what can happen can lead to compassion fatigue, it can lead to burnout, and it can sometimes lead to vicarious traumatization, because when you hear other people's stories like that, it can impact you, your head, your heart, your soul. Right? And so the signs when you look at compassion fatigue and burnout and some of these things with vicarious traumatization is from a secondary response, or sometimes very similar to those things that they experience from those who actually experienced the event. But if you learn how to deal with that and learn how to process these things, then you can stay, as we call as a horseman, strong in the saddle for many, many years.